myself, we didn't catch a wink because this has been, without a shadow of a doubt, the best round of 16 in Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League history. There's no comparison. This has been unbelievable. I didn't have any coffee today. Can you tell?
You're amped up.
Oh,
I'm exhausted.
This is the SCCL show every single Monday and Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern time.
I have a problem, though.
Tell me.
There's a lot going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
And like with everything that's going on, I mean, we know I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm sick.
You're sick?
I got SCCL fever. I walked right into it. Walked right into it.
We have to take a look at all of the games, and we're going to do just that. We're going to start with probably the best fixture, probably the biggest upset in Champions League history in recent memory. Here's a look at the quarterfinalists as they stand. We'll take a look at Devin and I's brackets later in the show. Atlanta United, Club America, Cruz Azul, LAFC. The list goes on. But, Devin, Bank of California Stadium was rocking. Bob Bradley said they needed to get after it and get after it early. They did just that.
First leg bad, second leg muy bueno. It was so different, and you wondered how big could they be in a big game situation. They answered all the questions and more. The energy level right out of the gate. This 25th minute, they call it back. He was onside. We saw the review. I promise you this. Referee crew got a lot wrong, but 2 minutes later, Carlos Vela gets it right, 1-0 LAFC.
And they needed that. They needed a goal within inside the first half hour, put all the pressure on Club Leon's second half. They were all over them.
A key question coming in was, could they have the legs, right? You saw the high intensity, high tempo. What you saw out of LAFC in this second leg was eerily reminiscent of what you saw at the tail end of last year. The record-setting season that fell just short. Diego Rossi, the benefactor of a little deflection into the back post. They get 3. The final 2 would come in 2 minutes. It was obnoxiously amazing from LAFC. They move on, rightfully so.
LAFC take down probably one of the favorites in the tournament in Club Leon. Let's head to another Liga MX side in Cruz Azul taking on Portmore United, this time in Mexico, and there was never a doubt in this one.
I'll be honest, the opening 10-15 minutes, it was never a doubt. There was some quality goalkeeping on the backside. Portmore United actually had a chance or two. Much like we saw in the first leg, though, from distance, a wink and a prayer, 20, 25 yards out, trying to pick something off. If this goes in, it changes the entire dynamics. You get a road goal, it gets it to 2-2. Instead, falls by the wayside. Orbelin Pineda does, well, ridiculous things. Orbelin Pineda does that, 22, they never looked back.
Best goal of the round of 16 so far?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Best header of the round of 16 so far?
No.
No.
Maybe.
Well, there's a goalkeeper who might have something to say about that. We'll get to that later in the show. More problems for Portmore United. That's a disgusting Panenka.
If Pesarini gets in, Cepelini gets in, you finish one off in the 90th minute, Borja, just for a little bit of fun, 4-0. This was a cakewalk for them from start to finish.
Well, speaking of cakewalks, it was anything but for Club America as they take on Comunicaciones. And shame on us, because we put Comunicaciones under the gun from the very beginning, saying they borderline didn't even deserve to be in the tournament. They established themselves, they announced themselves on CONCACAF Champions League stage. They gave Club America all that they could handle.
Especially going back to the Azteca. Figure like all bets are off. Club America is walking through this, right? Absolutely not. Comunicaciones much better in the second leg, and I was quite surprised by that. A lot of pressure, but it was calculated, right? They sat a little bit. They let Club America go side to side a lot. There's nothing wrong with that. Here's the penalty. They're going to get on the board. 62nd minute. Herrera from the spot. The Mexican doing ridiculous things. 1-0 Comunicaciones.
And then Club America would start to put the pressure on themselves. Foul called inside the penalty area. Aguilera able to bury it. That's a very good pen.
It's not a pen, though. It's not a foul.
No?
It's not a foul.
Okay.
Not a foul whatsoever.
Fair enough.
They got lucky here. Club America gets bailed out by that penalty. It's a beautiful save. Let's finish things off. They go to the next round. We talked about Herrera being worried. They better keep their head over their shoulder. There's people coming.
And how about a Major League Soccer side that some people were worried about after their first leg against Motagua, but they put all that to bed and then some in Kennesaw, Georgia, as Atlanta United looked like the team that we thought they were going to be, and they still have a lot of pieces that need to get some paperwork done. Pete Martinez and Joseph Martinez. Five Strike fans rejoice because they've been waiting for this combination to come to the surface, and they finally saw the best of it.
Wasn't worried about the run of play. I was more concerned that they weren't necessarily hitting the target. PT had a couple, right? And this one drops in front of him like, please, just put it on frame. Sticks it in the back of the net. They wouldn't finish. This was another team like LAFC. Up-tempo, up-tempo. This is right at the start of the second half, 10, 15 minutes in, the near-post header. That's all you would see out of Motagua because Joseph Martinez does what Joseph Martinez always does. Wondered whether or not he could tuck it inside the near post. Let's keep going. We go to the 83rd minute. PT, just for a little bit of fun. I'm screaming at the television. Call a penalty. No, stick it in the back of the net. Atlanta United, beautifully done.
Atlanta United stars certainly stole the show the other night against Motagua, and we expect that. Joseph Martinez, PT Martinez, we know what they can do, and it's finally starting to show. But young players have used this tournament in the past as an opportunity to platform themselves into the next level. And there's a young man by the name of Luis Fernando, 22 years of age, made his debut with the 5 stripes against Motagua the other night, and he did incredibly well.
This kind of goes back to what we talk about where these MLS teams coming in, what are they capable of? And not just at the senior level, but how does this organization stretch its arms a little bit? Luis Fernando, a player, 16 months ago, Division III in the United States, a team, Richmond Kickers, that's now in USL League One. That gives you an idea of the progression. And they said, a little bit uncomfortable with this time with the Richmond Kickers. They brought him into Atlanta United 2 last year. Stephen Glass, a wondrous guy that has really helped promote players like Miles Robinson up through the ranks. Brandon Vasquez, another one that they unfortunately lost. But look at the talent. Cheeky little nutmeg, and then get ready. Hold on. Apologize.
Oh, no.
Stop it. Look at him and apologize. This is utterly absurd from Luis Fernando. One more look. How do you like me? And now, that Friday feeling right there. By the way, got both players in the span of about 12 seconds, and he was just, everything he came on. He got 10 minutes, crisp the entire time. Boom, boom, boom. Actually had an opportunity to stick one in the back of the net right at the tail end of things. Look at this. Brooks Lennon, nice little tackle. Everybody thinks Joseph Martinez is going to take a touch and hit this, except for Luis Fernando. This is where they've gotten a nice little connection on the training ground. No, it doesn't end up in the back of the net, but it goes back to our point, Tyler, last show. I said, if you do not go into a 3-back system, you don't have Miles Robinson. You can't.
Yeah.
If you don't go to a 3-back system, you're not going to be successful. But they couldn't do it. They did it. Kudos right there. If they don't go to 3, Fernando probably doesn't step on the field. He doesn't necessarily fit that 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. 10 minutes to go. Kid makes his debut. Sky's the limit, right?
Unbelievable.
What a story.
Atlanta United moving on into the next round. They will be taking on Miguel Herrera and Club America. When we come back, we'll take a look at the final matches over the course of the round of 16. And there were some doozies. Stay with us if you haven't seen it. And also, we're going to have a visit from our Liga MX expert in John Arnold. Don't go anywhere.
Plays the perfect ball wide. Back to Pineda! Benji Martinez trying to find Joseph Martinez around Rougier!
Vargas sends it in. Hit it on and it's in!
I went from maybe I can to I know I will. From isn't she cute to fight. Coaches who seem stuck on we can now say we did. From women's football to every 90 minutes, I'm reminded we belong.
Welcome back into the Concacaf studios. Tyler Terrence along with Devin Kerr. Happy Friday to you all once again. And we're going to continue to move through these highlights. I mean, what a night it was last night to go from LAFC beating Club Leon at home. And then once that game is over, then you jump into penalties with Seattle Olympia. And speaking of that match, we'll have it later on in this segment. But we are going to start with Montreal and Saprissa. Spoiler alert, there are no goals in this leg. But when you think about what Montreal has gone through in a transformation from a head coach, personnel, no Nacho Piatti, giving up goals left and right last season in Major League Soccer, the fact that they were able to get a clean sheet at home against a solid Central American side, you have to give them credit where it's due. But a lot of fans are maybe a little upset with Thierry Henry let's just say parking the bus.
Tyler, you and I were on the call for this one, and we had the pleasure of kind of picking the brain a little bit, and you wondered what the philosophy was going to be for Montreal Impact. Well, you've gotten 2 legs out of them, 180 minutes plus a little extra time. I think you're getting it. They're going to be a defensive-minded team that when they have something where they're out in front, whether it's a lead or they're just trying to scavenge a point, they're going to park it a little bit, and that's fine. I don't have no problem with that. The interesting thing in this game was as it went on defensively, they sat deeper. Saprissa actually got worse on the offensive end.
Yep.
They weren't creating as many opportunities, and Gulo wasn't there. It's still no Berdantes because he played over the weekend. And how about Venegas? He kind of disappeared from the game, and that was troublesome for them.
Well, Montreal Impact with a massive result, and it was an awesome crowd at the Olympic Stadium, not their usual home. Let's head to CenturyLink Field.
Goals in this one.
There are goals in this one. There's drama in this one. And that is just a thumping header from a man who only had 1 professional goal coming into the match, played no games in Concacaf League. Elvin gets it done. And then Christian Roldan. We'll see more from him later on, and it's not of the good variety. And then Olympia would just continue to knock on the door. They're a solid Central American side that's starting to get repetitions in international tournaments.
If you're going to watch one game from the entire round of 16, go back and watch this match. It has everything. There's goals, there's defending, quality goalkeeping. João Paulo put in a solid 40 minutes in the first one. He went the distance here. 64th minute, but this right here is my goal of the tournament so far. Carlos Pineda, 86th minute on the highest stage, back of the net. We're getting penalties.
Wasn't strong from Seattle. They've done well in penalties before in the past. 2016 MLS Cup, they've lost in penalties in the past. And Olympia, for a team on the road in Major League Soccer, give them all the credit in the world. And let's head to another fixture. This was the controversial one as far as the venue was concerned. NYCFC and San Carlos in front of a relatively empty Red Bull Arena in Harrison, New Jersey. NYCFC did enough to move on.
What you're not going to see is that San Carlos gets set up here. NYCFC about 4 sequences in a row between Maxime Chenot and Alexander Callens, rotated back and forth, kept a little guessing game. He ends up rotating back in, gets the goal, they get out in front. They create a lot of opportunities, which is my only concern here, is against a team that is so wide open defensively, you got to put more in the back of the net. Regardless, they still get the job done. And that's the big thing here. There were some skirmishes. The game started to heat up. Ronnie Dyler got involved on the sideline on a nasty challenge, Gary McKay-Steven. But at the end of the day, they stuck to their game plan. They got better as the game went on. They're getting better as the tournament goes on. Next round lays in waiting.
Well, you said that the Seattle Olympia game was the must-watch game if you haven't seen them in full and to go back and watch it. I'm going to do you one better. How about Tuca Ferretti and Tigres taking on Alianza? The floodgates opened in the first half for Tigres. They were taking advantage of mistakes. Look at that just delicious ball from Gignac. Sets it up on a platter for Valencia. You thought it was done and dusted at this point.
There was the partnership we talked about. If it wasn't Gignac, who would it going to be? Valencia got involved. I actually like some of the distribution coming out of Quinones in the second half. You get a penalty, guess who? Gignac again. But the touch on his first goal, so delicate right in the back of the net. You fight back a little bit, right? Let's get the first one. Okay, start to wonder, can this thing happen? Both from set pieces, both against the run of play, both end up in the back of the net.
So at this point, Alianza is moving on. They're taking down Mexican giants in Tigres. And then the Mexican side would start to put the clamps down. They were knocking on the door left and right. And then utter drama. Nahuel Guzman, the keeper, with one of the best finishes of the round of 16. He's got gloves on. Absolute scenes in Estadio Universitario. That is my fixture.
Do you know why that's
the
your
round
fixture?
Of 16. Tell me why.
Because you don't appreciate art.
That wasn't art?
You're the kid that walks into the Met and asks for bubble gum so he's entertained while he walks around. All you want is exciting things. I'll tell you what's exciting.
Yep.
Tactics. And you know who's better than that? John Arnold.
John Arnold, ladies and gentlemen.
Exciting.
He's
That's
going
what
to be
we're
a
gonna get
recurring
talked to.
guest on the SCCL show, and he's joining us right now. And we are going to pick his brain a little bit as far as the Liga MX sides are concerned, because who knows him better than John Arnold and our friend Arch as well. John, how you doing today?
I'm great, guys. I think it was all art. That first round was just full of masterpieces.
But there was one masterpiece in particular, and let's just go ahead and agree that it was Tigres and Alianza so that we can settle this.
He's just trying to get back on the show again.
Yeah.
I got to stay diplomatic.
Absolutely. Well, you got to, especially election time. All right. So let's talk about probably the most important fixture from an MLS Liga MX side, León and LAFC. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I thought León looked horrific, particularly in the middle of the field, and LAFC just totally dominated. Have you seen León play this poorly since they've really stepped their game up in the past 12 to 18 months?
I think it was maybe a low point in the kind of Nacho Ambriz era, and he said so after the game. He said, "I'm going back angry at myself," and it sounded like he was also pretty angry at his own team. Goalkeeper Rodolfo Cota said after the game, you know, this maybe sounds good, this maybe sounds bad, but there's no doubt in my mind that they were better than us, that they deserve to win. And when you see a team play like LAFC did and take advantage of Leon, I think, those are fair statements to make after the game. I think it shows how much Leon and other teams still can depend on one player. Angel Mena missing this game. If Carlos Vela had been out of that first leg, we would have said, well, LAFC, whatever happens, we're kind of going to give them a pass. You kind of have to do that, I think, with any team if we're going to talk about that level. So I think that he was really missed. Some other absences that Leon missed. But yeah, ultimately they didn't answer the bell. They weren't up for this fight. And LAFC was very, very ready to take advantage of any space they could find. They found plenty of it. And now they're in the next round.
John, obviously we're only about 12 hours removed from that result, but we've seen something like this before when Toronto FC in 2018 had the opportunity to take down Chivas in the first leg of the final, and the media backlash was out of control. What have you kind of heard so far, given that they were up 2-0 going on the road, and they pretty much done it all domestically, and they lose?
And it's the first time an MLS team has turned around that deficit against a Mexican team in the first leg. So there's definitely sort of a historic component to this. At the same time, you have to remember when you're talking media reaction that in Mexico, León just isn't a team that sort of resonates. Cruz Azul is, America is, Chivas for sure are. But, the media reaction hasn't been as sort of rambunctious, I guess, as it can typically be. And I think that that's a good thing. To me, that's a step forward, that the press in every member association of CONCACAF is starting to recognize and understand that just because your teams have traditionally been the strongest doesn't mean they're going to win every single game. That said, the local press in Guanajuato, the national press who are paying attention, I think kind of came to the same conclusion that you guys and myself did as well, that León was woefully unprepared for a game that was so critical, so important, and perhaps overlooked that they still had 90 more minutes to go against a really good LAFC team playing in a really good atmosphere. So it's not as crazy as usual, I would say, just because it's León. But if it was America or Cruz Azul or these teams we're going to see in the next round that could have the same fate if they're not careful in this upcoming round, I think we'd be seeing even more sort of media furor.
John, there's usually a two-headed monster when it comes to this tournament. MLS and Liga MX, and the comparisons go back and forth basically ad nauseum. There's starting to become a third component to this, and that's Central American teams. And before we start to make the comparison between Central America and Liga MX, because the gap is bigger, Central American Major League Soccer sides, it seems like that gap is starting to narrow. When you think of Comunicaciones and what they did to Club America, and of course Olympia upsetting Seattle on the road, are you starting to see that tangible growth from Central American sides?
It's been a lot of fun to watch the Central American teams perform so well. Even Saprissa, a team that's going home, I thought was really good against the Montreal Impact. That said, I think it's more difficult for Central American teams to sustain that success because there are no secrets anymore in this sort of era of scouting. And certainly when a player stands out on the CONCACAF Champions League stage, like so many had for Comunicaciones, for Olympia, for these teams that we're mentioning that we enjoyed watching, it doesn't take much for MLS teams or Mexican teams or even European teams to come in and say, we'll have this, we'll have this, we'll have this. And that's what you've seen in the past is that these Central American teams are proud, they win titles, they do well in the CONCACAF League, but then oftentimes they're without their best 2, 3, or 4 players when it actually comes time. I think what we're seeing in this tournament is a sort of good moment in the cycle for Central American teams that a lot of them were able to have their very best players. They haven't sold, Saprissa hasn't sold Manfred Ugalde yet. These are players who are going to be on other teams, on other rosters in the very near future. But right now we're looking at a team that's still pretty complete. And that's why I think you see Olympia moving on in that bracket and other teams pretty happy to be in that quarterfinal round after a real test from Central Americans. But the difficulty would be sustaining it. I'm not sure that can be closed with the economic differences that we have between Central America and the North American leagues.
John, let's put a bow on all this and tie it all together. Given what you've seen, we saw Atlanta United Motagua, where it was kind of up and down, very different some of the legs, right? León, LAFC. We saw Atlanta United bring themselves back into it. Club America hasn't really poked their head out that much. For you, whether Liga MX or maybe Olympia steps in, or an MLS team, is there a clear-cut favorite?
I don't think so. And I think, to me, that's the beauty of this tournament. I think it's so fun because who the heck is going to win this thing? You could look at any of the teams there and say, yeah, sure, why not? Maybe you could throw out one or two and say, I don't think they're going to win because they have these deficiencies. But then you start to look and you say, well, it seems like every team has deficiencies, but also every team has strengths. If you say, absolutely, you have to pick a favorite right now, I guess I'm going America just because of their history, their pedigree, and the fact that they're playing better over 90 minutes than Tigres are. But I don't know. I think there's no favorite, and I think that's why this is going to be one of the best CONCACAF Champions Leagues we've seen in a very long time, because who knows who's going to win it? Who knows who's going to get upset? We're going to have to tune in and watch, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it here in the future on the CCL show.
Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time, and we could probably just end the tournament right now in the round of 16 without even going forward, and I think everybody would be happy.
He'd be happy because of his bracket.
Oh, my God. Well, speaking of that, we'll have more on that later in the show. There goes John Arnold. Thank you so much for taking the time and breaking down SCCL show with us.
My pleasure, guys. Always fun.
All right. There goes John, and when we come back from the break, as Devin mentioned, there are some brackets that are busted. I'm not going to say whose exactly it is. If you remember, it may be me. It just might be. It takes a big man to admit their mistakes, and I will be that big man when we come back from the next segment.
Football. We could say that for us,
Pour nous, para nosotros,
on this side of the world, football is our life, the game of our lives. Football always comes first. We all come from different cultures, but football unites us.
sin diversos saben, nos une.
One region, one voice.
Una voz, one voice, une voix.
If we listen closely, we are born ready to shout. And from there, we start to play with intensity until the last minute. Faced with obstacles, we work through them. We will improve day by day, always forward, making football better everywhere, every match. Our passion is so strong that it breaks down borders, even those that are hard to knock down, for all of us to reach our dreams. We are the region where the game comes first, bringing the game closer to our fans, and decisions are always made for the good of the sport. We raise our level every day, making football better everywhere, every match. We will put all our teams in position to win in our region.
Nuestra región.
Notre région. Nuestra región.
Everyone gets to play, connected and respected. One region.
Una región.
Une région. Una région.
Together, we are the collective best of our individual cultures. We are millions of souls. We are together for the love of our game. United for football. 41 countries for one love. CONCACAF. Love for our game.
Welcome back into the SCCL show in the CONCACAF studios as we are getting set for the weekend. We're getting set for the quarterfinals, which will, of course, take place in a couple of weeks. How about John Arnold? I think what he said is probably spot on just in terms of the fact that there is no favorite right now. If the round of 16 is any indication of what's going to go on throughout the rest of the competition, nobody's got a clue.
I liked his comments about Club America and Tigres because I agree with him. I think Club America is playing better, but I think the evolution that we've seen between Club America and Tigres, respectively, I think Club America hasn't necessarily taken as many strides as we'd like them to, but I think that also their ceiling is higher than Tigres. With Tigres, they've definitely played better against their opponent, but if you match the two up together right now, I'm with John. I'm sticking with Club America, even though I still have Tigres winning in the bracket, and we'll get to that in a second, but I love the fact that nobody has any clue. it's wide open. You know, that's a big one for me where you got a bit of drama, a lot of drama, to be honest. You got great goals, some good defending, some good attacking. We get a Central American team in Olympia putting themselves through, the comeback from LAFC. There was a lot of really fun things that went on.
And that matchup between Olympia and Montreal, I mean, that is anybody's to win. Yeah. Anybody's. I mean, you think about a Montreal team that literally couldn't score a goal at home and looked anemic offensively, and we don't even know if Okonkwo is going to be back in time. And then an Olympia team that just is, they're playing with house money right now.
We basically rode the Sounders straight through.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I did, to be fair, I did warn you.
Let's get there.
Warned you, hang on, I warned you that could be an upset. Stop. And you yelled at me, and I'm a person, and I want an apology.
All right. In life, you know, there are crossroads where
you make mistakes.
You sometimes have to swallow your pride. And you need to say, I'm sorry, and you need to apologize, and you need to admit when you're wrong. To the Concacaf Champions League world. But I just want to say one thing.
You're out.
It was a matter.
Just say
it was a matter of 3 minutes between the Diego Rossi goal and the stunning volley from Carlos Pineda where my bracket got busted. 3 minutes. That's it. I was watching both games at the same time and busted. Utterly busted. It's been 2 weeks. I don't even know what to say at this.
A great moment.
I'm so sorry. And my roommate was actually saying something to me. He goes, well, I actually had Tigres winning. And he goes, I just picked a random team. I was like, I'm actually supposed to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I just clearly don't.
But here's the deal. This is okay, and I can show you.
Show me.
That's your side.
Yeah.
And this is clearly my side.
Okay.
So that being said, why don't we take a look at the line that was crossed?
Yeah.
We showed them that already.
I took a hop, skip, and a
Let's show them
jump.
the line that you should be on. And to be clear,
oh boy,
this should be a perfect bracket. Saprissa, you let me down. They were the better team over 180
what about
minutes.
Seattle? You're Seattle going to the semifinals. Come on, don't act like you're Miss Perfect Mary Poppins over here, okay? Like,
I'm sorry. Where are they going? To the semifinals. That's right. You don't even have a team left in the final. Hello, I have one that made a historic comeback. I have one that wiped the slate clean with one of the most wondrous goals you'll ever see at Anel Guzman. Club America, yeah, they struggle a little bit. I mean, everybody's there. I'm so confused as to what's happening on the left side. Is high score good? Oh, all of them are right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what. Yeah, the bottom right's a little off. But mine's still alive and kicking. Yours is literally being burnt. It's in the garbage can.
It is done.
But in honor of that, listen, I understand that there's a lot of exciting things happening in everybody's lives, and your bracket is one of them.
Is it exciting?
Yeah, it's exciting because I can just kind of run you into the ground until the end of the tournament. It doesn't matter what else I do because you have an epic fail.
I mean,
But I got you a present.
You did?
I got you a present. It's two purposes. This is the line not to be crossed, and it's also your dunce cap. Wear it with pride. Look at this guy. Lean with it, rock with it, but stay on your side of the desk. I respect it.
I'm just going to go ahead and wear this, both figuratively and metaphorically and literally. Folks, you can catch every single game in the CONCACAF Champions League on the Fox Sports family of networks. You can catch this on podcasts on Spotify and Anchor, soon to be on iTunes. I hope you have a great weekend, because if I have to wear this out this weekend, then it's going to be an early night. But again, it takes a big man to admit their mistakes. I'm surprised this is still even on my head. Have an awesome weekend. That's it.
I bid you adieu.
See ya.